Chronicles of the Grim Reaper, The Guardian's Watch, by Griz, Calderon. He was born in the back corner of a small shelter, one of 6 puppies pressed against their weary mother on a bed of worn blankets. No one knew his father. His fur was a mix of colors that didn't seem to belong together: black, tan, and a streak of white down his chest. The shelter workers called him Chance, because that's what he had been given. From the start, Chance was different. While his littermates slept, he watched. The sound of footsteps, the smell of rain, the world beyond the chain-link door, all of it called to him. When he was 4 months old, a woman arrived with a clipboard. She moved slowly along the kennels, stopping to take notes. She was looking for dogs with the right mix of intelligence, steadiness, and spirit for the K9 training program. When she reached Chance's kennel, he pressed his nose through the bars, eyes bright and unafraid. He was chosen. The training was demanding. There were commands, tests of focus, exercises in obedience and bravery. The other dogs were larger, purebred shepherds with pedigrees, but Chance learned differently. He studied movement, tone, even silence. He didn't just react. He understood. When graduation came, he stood proudly beside his new partner. He wore his vest like armor, his eyes scanning for what others missed. It was as if he had been born for this life, though none could have guessed how many times he would walk beside death itself. The first time the Reaper appeared, it was during a night call, a crash on the outskirts of the city. Twisted metal, smoke rising into the still air. Chance stayed close to his partner as they moved toward the wreck. The smell of gasoline clung to everything. And then the world seemed to quiet. Through the haze, Chance saw him, a tall figure cloaked in darkness, his edges shifting like mist. A faint light traced the curved blade of the scythe he carried. His steps were soundless. He moved toward a man lying motionless on the ground. Chance didn't bark. He only watched. The Reaper knelt beside the man and placed a pale hand against his chest. When the air shimmered faintly, Chance saw something rise, a soft, glowing outline of the man, calm and weightless. The Reaper turned slightly, as though acknowledging the dog's gaze. Then he reached out and laid a hand on Chance's head. Warmth flowed through him, not heat, but understanding. Without words, Chance knew what he was seeing. The man's soul followed the Reaper as they both faded into the dark. The next day, Chance was restless. He searched corners, sniffed the wind, but the presence was gone. Only memory remained. Months passed. The bond between Chance and his partner deepened. They saved lives. They found the lost. They worked through storms, through fear, through long nights filled with sirens. But sometimes, when the air grew too still, Chance felt it again. That quietness before something changed. The second time the Reaper appeared, the night was cold and wet. A car had crashed off the road, flames licking at twisted metal. Chance crawled through the wreckage, ignoring the heat that singed his fur. He found a woman trapped beneath the steering wheel, her breathing shallow. His bark brought help. His partner shouted for water, for tools, for hope. But as they worked, Chance felt the air shift. The Reaper was there, standing behind the woman, the hooded figure motionless amid the chaos. The scythe gleamed faintly, untouched by the fire's light. Chance whimpered softly and crawled to the woman's side, laying his head on her arm. His heartbeat slowed to match hers. The Reaper stepped closer, placing one hand on the woman's chest, another on Chance's head. Warmth again, but heavier now, filled with sorrow. Chance looked up just in time to see the faint glow rise from her body. The Reaper turned toward him, And though no voice spoke, Chance understood. The woman's pain was gone. Her soul followed the Reaper as they vanished into the smoke. Chance stayed beside her until the flames were out and the world went quiet. Years went by. The dog's muzzle grayed, his movements slower but still sure. The bond between him and his partner was no longer about command. It was about trust. They had saved each other more times than either could count. Then came the night of his final call. It was early morning. Rain clouds gathered low over the city. A robbery had turned violent, and the suspect had fled into an abandoned building. Chance leapt from the vehicle, muscles coiled, heart steady. He moved through the darkness, guided by instinct and loyalty. Then came the gunfire. The sound echoed through the building, sharp and final. Chance stumbled, pain blooming in his chest. He fell, the world around him dimming. His partner's voice broke through the noise, calling his name. As Chance blinked through the haze, he saw the Reaper standing near the doorway. The scythe rested against the floor, the hooded figure watching silently. He stepped forward, the air rippling softly around him. He knelt beside the dog, one hand resting on Chance's chest. The warmth returned, gentle and familiar. The Reaper looked up toward the officer, who was now kneeling beside his fallen partner, tears streaking his face. In that still moment, the Reaper extended his reach, not with words, but with something deeper. Through him, Chance heard his partner's voice clearly, even as the sounds of the world began to fade, and his partner heard what Chance could not say. Gratitude. Love. The quiet acknowledgement of 1,000 shared moments. They had served together, protected together, lived together. Their eyes met, and in that instant, both understood. The Reaper's hand lingered on the man's shoulder, offering the same warmth, the same peace he had given to Chance. The man's breathing slowed, grief softening into acceptance. He knew that his companion was free. When the Reaper rose, the scythe shimmered faintly, the last light of morning catching its edge. Chance's body was still, but his spirit stirred beside the Reaper. The city was silent around them, rain beginning to fall. The figure turned and began to walk, the edges of his form fading into the falling rain. Chance followed, his form light, his steps soundless. Together, they moved toward the horizon. Behind them, the rain washed the pavement clean. The officer sat in the quiet, hand resting on the dog's vest, and though he could not see him, he felt a calm he could not explain. The Reaper had left it there for him, one final gift. And somewhere beyond the veil, Chance ran freely again, a guardian watching still. The end.